Holy cow! I'm surprised walking into Maria Carabello's house. Dan Marino, is that Wheaties box? Mm-hmm. What? In every nook and cranny.
This is a perfect season football, signed by a lot of the 72.
Okay. Even on the walls.
That's my pride and joy.
To the floor, reaching for the ceiling with St. Nick, she has Miami Dolphins memorabilia. How long did it take to collect all of that?
Many years.
Many years?
Many years. It's many years.
Are you still collecting?
I always collect. Believe.
Her love for the Dolphins began roughly 50 years ago. Tough when you think she grew up in a New York family who loved the Jets, Giants, and Cowboys.
It was not a pretty picture. I used to get ridiculed all the time. How could you go for a team that's no good? And I'm like, because they're good to me.
In 2018, when Maria and her husband retired, they decided to move to Florida. They immediately bought season tickets and went to games with their daughter.
And she says, Mom, your dream is coming true. And I'm like, yeah. Some of these players and people are from out of town. We have Mr. Marino himself over there. Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
Maria and her husband Dennis began tailgating and meeting new people. She even petitioned the Dolphins for their group East 12 Tailgaters to become an official fan club of the Dolphins. They aren't just about game days, though. They are also helping fundraise for Dolphins Challenge Cancer. They're raffling off a Dolphins-themed golf cart. Cancer is a disease she's all too familiar with.
11 family members passing away from it, from my mom to my aunt, who was like a mom to me.
Maria says she's a Fins fan for life, surrounding her with a football family. When you look at all these people, what goes through your mind when you see all of this right here?
Family. Family. Couldn't have a better family in the world.
They're ugly, they're navigational hazards, and they can cost taxpayers thousands of dollars. We're talking about derelict vessels, something the Martin County Sheriff's Office is seeing more and more of. Suited up and into the St. Lucie River, deputies patrol a waterfront neighborhood.
This is the most prominent problem area we have.
Or maybe it's not as waterfront, so much as it is waterborne.
Boats that people will make into their homes as, shelters.
These derelict or abandoned vessels have always been a problem in the county, both for the safety of boaters and the environment.
There's fuel, there's batteries, there's different types of hazardous materials.
Now it's getting worse, the cost of living forcing people out of their homes and into boats instead.
We've seen a tremendous increase actually throughout the county. You'll have vagrants squatting on the boat, it falling apart. There comes into a time where we've had several instances where the boats have come loose and ran into the dock.
We've even covered it in Jensen Beach in November when 7 boats broke loose and wreaked havoc. But getting rid of the eyesore is a lengthy process that can take weeks and cost taxpayers.
It can be anywhere from $6,000 to they've been upwards of astronomical amounts of money.
Angler Giles Murphy.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on down. Check us out. We got these new ones called mud minnows.
Pays that price too. His bait and business dependent on the health and safety of the river.
The attraction of our water is to anglers to get out there to fish and tourists and stuff. I mean, we need to keep it looking good.
Now Martin County commissioners taking action, creating mooring fields at Manatee Pocket and at the Jensen Beach Causeway to control where boats can drop anchor and make sure they're up to code and complying with health and safety rules.
They're not sinking, they're not falling apart.
Commissioners even giving power to law enforcement to tow the ones that aren't registered or following the rules.
As a result, the people are moving, they're moving their boats.
Because as the cost of living keeps rising and neighborhoods shift from shore to sea, eliminating these floating communities may not be an option, but setting a new set of buoyant bylaws may just be.
Establish rules or guidelines that we're going to go by to keep everybody safe.
In Martin County, Kate Hussey, WPTV News Channel 5.
The city says it will investigate how the materials got in the drinking water and why staff incorrectly informed city staff about it being in the drinking water. But people are still concerned because their water still has a yellowish tint to it.
Film that good.
Dolores Williams needs you to see her problem.
That's the water what come out the faucet. I don't drink it. I can take it to my house and see it pull out right out. See the same thing.
You don't drink this?
No, I buy bottled water. Why should I drink that?
Mary Braham sees the yellow in her water as well. she also sticks to bottles.
I have never drank it. I do not cook in it. That is a known fact.
The perceived problems with the city's water serve as the backdrop for this notice from Riviera Beach. It says E. coli was found in a city well in June 2023, but the notification came in January. The 7-month delay occurred because Public Works Director Michael Lowe says the water was safe to drink to council.
That very treatment process is designed to handle this situation.
And to WPTV.
There was no need because we have a treatment plant here.
But Riviera Beach Mayor Ronnie Fielder told cameras on Monday he was incorrect and the bacteria got into the drinking water.
E. coli and fecal matter was present in 2 of our wells.
So you're not going to take any questions after saying that there's Alum in the water?
I will take further questions later. At this time, I will be investigating. The health department is under investigation. This is my thing. There are vast...
Sir, people are going to call me asking if they should drink their water. What should I tell them?
I understand in the report from the health department. As of now, the health department said the water is clean. We're only debating the June.
Lowe was at the announcement, but did not speak. We reached out to him directly, and we're still awaiting a statement.
That they be lying and trying to make like everything is right.
Dolores showed us the problem at her Riviera Beach home herself.
The water used to be worse than this.
She's now convinced the yellow comes from water contamination still existing today. In Riviera Beach, Ethan Stein, WPTV News Channel 5.
One Wednesday evening in 2013, Christina Terraza Swan was on her usual bike ride. She rode up to this intersection, Congress and 6th Avenue South in Lake Worth Beach.
I pushed the button to get ready to cross. I was on the phone and talking to a friend.
That's when she says she had a seizure.
There was a man in front of me. I remember the trauma hawk. I remember the helicopter. He told me to calm down. He said he was here to help. When he said that, it registered that I'd had a seizure.
Christina was taken by helicopter to St. Mary's Medical Center. She shows me some of the discharge papers from the hospital and points to the date, May 1st, 2013.
Somebody sat there, somebody watched me, somebody saw the beginning, the middle, and the end. God willing, I'll find this person.
And that person was who called 911?
Yes. I think that person is my angel.
An angel she's tried to find for years with no luck.
And then when you came to town, you're in the neighborhood, I got excited, we win, we gave it a whirl to see what happens.
After Christina shared her story with me at our Let's Hear It event in Lake Worth Beach, I told her we would try to help her.
If we could get it out there and somebody saw something, somebody knows someone.
When you find that person, what is the first thing you're going to tell them?
Thank you. Out of the goodness of your heart, you didn't have to take your time you didn't have to help me. Because of a stranger, I made it home. That's why.
I lived in this in-between kind of space for a really long time because it's really hard to get over something like that.
Alexander Athanasio turned 23 on Valentine's Day.
I have to acknowledge that, yeah, it is my birthday, but also it's the day that one of the most tragic things happened.
He was a junior at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School the day a former classmate killed 17 people on campus, injured 17 others, and changed countless lives forever.
So tell me about kind of the journey that you've been on since that happened.
The shooting happened during a theater rehearsal, and I didn't really acknowledge this for a long time, but I think I held a lot of anxiety or just apprehension in general, of wanting to do theater because of it.
It's been a long road of healing and self-discovery for Alexander, one that is bringing him back to his true love. Being on the stage. He has a lead role in Spelling Bee, now enrolled as a freshman at FAU.
Being in theater again, even though, there is that looming feeling of uncomfortableness because of the shooting, I tried to get away from that for so long and be normal, but I'm not normal, and that's just a part of it.
Also navigating how to live with this tragedy is Broward School's new superintendent, Dr. Peter Licata.
It's a learning experience for listening. This is a trauma that not many people go through, and you have to hear every word they say, and it's hard.
Licata was a longtime leader in the Palm Beach County School District before taking the helm here.
What kind of difference have you felt from, you know, going from Palm Beach County to now being in Broward and really being kind of a part of it?
You felt a little bit more of it, but there was a drastic change that once you got here, that it was the epicenter of evil that happened on a campus, and you understand the responsibility to the community to make sure it's safe.
Whenever a speller gets kicked out, we're like, goodbye.
Learning how to talk about his experience is helping Alexander focus on the positive.
I don't think I would be here right now with as much passion for what I want to do and what I want to like succeed in my life without this tragedy being present.
Now he's back to being the star of his own life.
How long does it take for someone to get over something like this? And I think it's not a linear path. And accepting and understanding that that's life and that's how it's going to be is, I think, step one to getting over stuff, for sure. Yeah. Step two is walking that path.
One he tries to walk every day. Stephanie Susskind, WPTV, News Channel 5.
First, the latest on the criminal investigation. Palm Beach Gardens police are looking for two men they describe as persons of interest. Now to the apparent slow release of information. According to this news release, the shooting took place at 2:36, but the city did not release news of the shooting to the public or on social media for more than an hour. Crisis management expert Sarah Brady says police agencies should release important information as soon as possible.
Just letting people know that police are responding, that the scene is active, and to stay away.
But those with loved ones working or shopping in the mall did not stay away. They fought the traffic and navigated the roadblocks.
Panic call for my daughter. I couldn't get here fast enough.
Information critical to the public seemed slow to come by. Police announced a news conference where urgent details might get to the public. That's where my colleague Stephanie Susskind was waiting.
We were told to come here by law enforcement as a staging area for the media and to expect an update from law enforcement. Unfortunately, we did not get that update.
I went to Palm Beach Gardens Police Department and City Hall Thursday to ask about the release of information. Public information officers were not in. Good afternoon, Dave Bohman, WPTV. I also called the city public information officer, the PIO for the police department, Mayor Chelsea Reed, and 4 city council members. One city council member answered. She told us to call Mayor Reed, who then texted me to call the city public information officer. We've received no response about the flow of information at the mall shooting.
The best way to protect what people learn about an event is to have that information out immediately.
Sarah Brady notes that most police agencies have the motto to protect and serve, and she says police can only serve if they give the public information in a timely manner. In Palm Beach Gardens, Dave Bohman, WPTV, News Channel 5.
There's a knock on the door, and the stranger on the other side has an urgent message.
That my Jeep was up for a recall, safety issue with the airbag.
When it happened to Debonique Sadler in February, she wasn't totally buying it.
Who comes out to your house to do this kind of stuff?
She still made an appointment for a technician to come to her house and fix the recalled airbag on her 2008 Wrangler. Sadler says the visitor told her she didn't even need to be home, as long as the door was unlocked. But when her husband called the dealership in Delray,
that call did not come from us. We would not do anything like that.
And that's when we called you guys and said, can y'all investigate?
We were there when the technician showed up to replace the recalled airbag inflator, part in hand.
This is above board and everything's
100%.
Gina Crouch represents Stellantis, the company that owns Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and other automotive brands.
The reason we're sitting here is because somebody called us and thought they were being scammed.
Reasonable. Crouch works for a marketing company hired by Stellantis to reach people whose vehicles were affected by a 2015 recall of Takata airbags and still haven't been fixed, despite getting notices like these in the mail.
Most people aren't, unfortunately, reading the mailers, and in those situations, it takes that face-to-face contact to say, hey, this is what it is, this is what you need to get done. So yeah, it's a little unusual.
The issue, Crouch explains, is an urgent one. She says the airbag inflator is prone to explode and send shrapnel flying.
If you were in a head-on collision that caused the regular force to cause the airbag to come out, instead of it just protecting you, it would kill you or it fatally or injure you.
The recall impacted 19 vehicle manufacturers, accounting for 34 million vehicles in the United States. That's the largest and most complex safety recall in history, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The agency calls the airbags ticking time bombs in its official reports.
There's been 36 deaths worldwide, over 400 injuries. So we're trying to help them get those vehicles repaired so it doesn't happen to these customers.
While Crouch admits the home visits are often met with skepticism, they have led to more than 70,000 repaired Stellantis vehicles.
It's a little challenging, but it's really rewarding.
Including the Sadler's Jeep.
Because we do really get to impact someone's life, and we can save a customer, save a family, and that's why we do it.
Although they chose to bring it to the dealership out of an abundance of caution.
You really have to go with your gut, and sometimes you could be right, you could be wrong, and I still say be safe than sorry.
February 1st, 2024, Clearwater, a personal single-engine aircraft that took off from Vero Beach crashes into two homes. Moments after the pilot communicates over the radio that there's a fire. The pilot and two people on the ground are killed. February 9th, Naples. A charter jet returning from a trip to Ohio comes down on Interstate 75, not far from the airport. The two pilots communicate they're making an emergency landing after both engines failed, just a month after a federal inspection deemed the plane airworthy. Both pilots are killed. 4 others are hurt. Those are just 2 of the 16 Florida aviation accidents so far this year under investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board, a process that can take 1 to 2 years.
Where they look into every aspect to find out where those things, what went wrong. But there are times when things happen.
Peter Reed is an aviation consultant and president of Reed Aero.
Started flying when I was about 14 years old. And just absolutely fell in love with it.
He wants you to know flying is safe.
When an airplane comes out of the sky, it's a big event. When you hear about 5 or 10 crack-ups on Interstate 95 in Palm Beach County that happen probably, close to every day, you think nothing of it. It's just routine.
Of all 50 states over the past 10 years, Florida has seen the 3rd largest number of deadly plane crashes, according to NTSB data. California and Texas are the only states that have more.
And to that, your answer is actually pretty simple.
Yes, it's you have to look at the numbers.
So I did. I analyzed data from the NTSB, Federal Aviation Administration, and the U.S. Census Bureau. Florida is the 3rd most populous state, again behind California and Texas. Florida also has the 8th highest percentage of its population licensed to fly a plane.
We have a large number of people down here that love to fly.
But when you look at the number of deadly plane crashes against the number of people, crashes happen in Florida at a lower rate than in 19 other states. Still, the FAA is working on some changes to make the skies safer over South Florida.
Well, right now, I'm on a committee that is studying the controlled airspace over Palm Beach Airport.
Controlled airspace is the airspace under the control of the tower. Smaller airports like Lantana and North Palm Beach are uncontrolled, meaning that instead of relying on an air traffic controller with radar in a centralized tower, pilots rely on each other to communicate their position.
What they're trying to do is make sure that as the traffic builds, that the airspace that they control is adequate to handle the increased traffic in the airport flow and the flow of the planes around the airport.
The FAA confirmed to me in a statement that the move is the result of a significant increase in air traffic in Palm Beach County in recent years and is intended to make the skies safer. But as Reed showed me, safety in the air starts on the ground.
The key to safety in aviation is training and procedures.
Reed walked me through some of those procedures.
You've got 48 items to check to make sure. This is all before you even get going.
How often do you see someone maybe cutting corners on this list?
Never.
It's a lesson pilots say is instilled in them as students before their first flight.
What's the biggest mistake that you see among students that you try to correct?
Complacency, probably.
Eric Ahrens is the chief flight instructor for Sky Blue Aviation. When you hear about a plane crash, he suggests you keep this in mind.
Well, nobody ever starts out to crash an airplane. Are they preventable? I suppose there are some times when something happens that, you know, like a whole bunch of geese fly into your engine. So it's, how preventable is that?
I spoke with Florida Fish and Wildlife, who says they're investigating a video where you can see a boat pull out of the Boca Raton inlet and then go into the ocean, and that's when you see the group dump buckets of trash into the water, and it was all caught on camera. All right, so this is the boat.
An online video is making waves.
Oh my God, I can't believe it.
Wow. It shows a boat with about 10 people in Boca Raton.
So this is one of the trash cans you can see here.
Speed through the inlet and dump 2 large bins of trash over the side of their boat.
What is it, all empty bottles?
Cans.
Trash.
Leaving a trail of trash floating in the water.
What's your reaction to that?
That's crazy.
Because of licensing reasons, we aren't able to broadcast the video, but Florida Fish and Wildlife says they're investigating the illegal dumping of the trash.
The plastic will stay in the ocean, and that's how you kill the fish, and that's how you kill the whole environment underwater.
I asked FWC if the amount of trash that was dumped would reflect the fines.
Fines, they could be a bunch of rich people for whom money means nothing.
But they say it's under investigation.
There should be joining groups who actually clean the stuff, to know what kind of stuff they're doing.
An organization known as Boca Bash posted on their Instagram saying that the boaters came from their event.
Yeah, it's a party day.
It's an annual event where a large amount of boats get together and spend the day at Lake Boca Raton. I DM'd the Boca Bash Instagram page and they replied in part, "It is irresponsible boat owners like this that give the event a bad reputation. The Boca Bash regularly asks attendees to keep our waterways clean." Boca Bash took to their Instagram followers to track down the boaters, who they say were reported to authorities.
What do you hope happens to this group?
That they won't have the right to be in the water anymore.
We did reach out to the owner of the boat that's shown in the video, but they declined to comment. Reporting in Boca Raton, Joel Lopez, WPTV, News Channel 5.
He had such a passion from a young age for the ocean.
Walking down her childhood beach.
He taught me how to surf over there.
Every step in the sand.
Whenever I come out here, I feel like I can talk to him.
And every crash of the waves.
I mean, it's just his soul is out there.
Floods Britt Drozda with memories of her older brother, Virgil Price.
If you had a message for him, what would it be?
I just loved him unconditionally.
The 39-year-old freediver went on a dive on Mother's Day. It would be his last.
Can you tell me about the last time that you spoke with Virgil?
It's Mother's Day morning. He called me.
Kate said her son never made it to dinner.
I don't know what I will do without him in my life.
A pain soothed by floods of support. As prayer and images of their son filled their church.
This is actually Virgil freediving, emerging from the bottom.
His dad said his son picked up freediving on his own.
He had a wonderful sense of humor, captivating smile.
And said after nearly 10 years of experience, he had plans to compete in the freediving World Championships in Greece.
If he had died in a car accident, we would be burying him at sea. God already buried him.
And while his body is still missing.
Do you feel him with you right now?
Family is advocating for safer standards like GPS trackers.
I just want him to know I love him.
So that freedivers always make it home to shore.
I'm gonna really, really miss him, but treasure all the memories.
Reporting in Palm Beach County.
It's not gonna be the same without him.
Joel Lopez, WPTV, News Channel 5.
Playing video games in class may seem a little counterproductive, but for the retro Rams at Palm Beach Lakes High School, it's all in a day's work.
I never really thought about games like this, that I could be making almost a living off of it.
Michael Byfield is heading to the Electronic Gaming Federation National Championship for Rocket League.
You have to precisely control your car and control the ball.
He wants to build video games someday, an opportunity he never thought possible before getting involved in esports.
It's inspirational. You know, our whole goal was to get students that normally wasn't engaged in school, engaged into STEM-like careers and activities.
A self-proclaimed gamer himself, Julius Edwards started the program in 2019 with 10 kids after school. Now he's up to more than 400 with a full-on career academy in digital media.
Some kids, you know, they never thought school was fun. And now they're looking like, hey, I could be part of this. I could have a career. I could do something outside of here.
With a state-of-the-art gaming lab, students can earn industry certifications, setting them up for successful careers in engineering, software design, and so much more.
Nice.
Beckham, I lived.
I've learned that video games aren't just for fun, they're also for good reaction speed and good motivation for people to come to school. I used to not do good in school. I used to have like D's, but now I'm an honor roll student.
Beckham Llewellyn is ready to take on the competition in Super Smash Brothers at Nationals.
I feel excited. I'm ready to showcase my skills and beat other good players.
This is not just all for fun. It takes real skill to master these games, and I'm not all that good at it. What do I do here?
All right, so the L stick helps you move around.
So while esports is allowing kids to express themselves through activities that don't feel like traditional classwork, it's also showing them how far those skills can carry them. Stephanie Susskind.
I don't think I'm going back to the station today. I'm just gonna play.
WPTV.
Good game.
Good game.
News Channel 5.
I'm on a boat with the Martin County Sheriff's Office today on the Stewart Sandbar. Just take a look behind me. Plenty of boats out here on the water today. Deputies say they're keeping a close eye on some 2,000 boats. It's days like today that the Martin County Sheriff's Office says people should be most aware and most cautious. As the tide rolls down off the coast of Stewart, the people boat in.
I'm just coming to the sandbar to have a good time, hang out with my family and some friends of mine.
Well, look what we got out there. Beautiful crowds, beautiful ships out there, and a lot of people going nuts on the 4th of July.
Martin County Sheriff's deputies, along with the FWC and Martin County Fire Rescue,
we couldn't do it without y'all's support, I'll tell you that.
Heavily patrol the boating hotspots on the 4th of July. A total of 7 crews out on the water.
Right now we're headed to what's called the Stewart Sandbar. Everybody just congregates there. We'll get thousands of boats out here.
They're on high alert, looking out for everything from heat exhaustion to swimmers in distress and making their presence known. Walk me through, I guess, your job today.
We basically focus on high visibility patrols, meaning that we're just going to try to be anywhere and everywhere throughout the county.
This comes after 8 drownings occurred in Florida waters in less than a month. Part of their focus today is reminding those to be aware of the currents.
Earlier there was a young male that tried to swim across the current here. People misjudge the strength of this currents out here. He tried to swim out, he made it about 15, 20 feet, got swept away into the mangroves over here.
Boaters doing their best this 4th of July to prepare for a worst case scenario.
We got caught in the currents the other day. We were out here and the currents were really bad. And fortunately we had a life thing that they threw out to us because the currents just like swept us up super quick.
We make sure everyone knows how to swim, or if you don't know how to swim, you're wearing your proper life vest. You just got to be aware of your surroundings and be smart about what you're doing.
Deputies urge parents to keep an eye on their children and strongly suggest swim lessons no matter the age.
We've got everything that's surrounding by water. Swim lessons are the most important thing that you can do for a child. Getting them familiar to be able to save themselves when seconds count.
Cassandra Garcia, WPTV, News Channel 5. You can still see the bullet holes on the hood of this car and on the walls of this mobile home. I can count at least 10 of them scattered around this property. The shooting has neighbors questioning their safety. Deputies are investigating what happened in this neighborhood the day after a 67-year-old woman was shot inside her home.
I don't know, I just heard like shots, like pa, 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 pa.
We heard like 6 or more shots fired, one right after the other.
Norma Hernandez lives nearby and says the shooting happened while her family was sleeping.
My kids got scared. They woke up to the sound and started calling out for us, but I just told them, it's okay, we're okay. But in reality, it worries us.
Investigators say they were called to Windsong Mobile Village in Fort Pierce just before midnight Monday. They found this trailer shot more than 10 times. One of the bullets hit a mother who was inside with her children. She's still in the hospital recovering. While detectives believe the shooting was targeted, neighbors say it's still concerning to know the gunfire was so close.
At first I was a little bit nervous because, my first thought was like, what if they hit my house and like my grandma got hit or I got hit? It's the first time that's ever happened here. So I was a little bit shocked. I was like, okay.
Sí nos preocupa
As parents, it worries us because could you imagine if a stray bullet went through the wall and hit one of my kids instead?
Sheriff Keith Pearson described the shooting as reckless. He doesn't believe the mother was the intended target. Now investigators are canvassing the area, hoping to find the gunman. Neighbors saying they won't sleep the same until someone has been held responsible. Cassandra Garcia, WPTV News Channel 5.
A mom says her son went on a bike ride around the neighborhood, and shortly after she got a phone call she never expected. Last Tuesday, Ashley Cespedes says her son Noel asked to go on a bike ride.
I want to say about half an hour later, someone called me and I could hear him crying and screaming from the background. They said, your son's been in an accident.
Cespedes says he was 3 miles from his home when something happened. Noel had to be taken to Port St. Lucie Medical Center.
The face was all cut up. His lip was hanging off halfway. His tooth was missing. The broken arm. It's one of the scariest moments of your life, like to have that phone call.
Noel tells us he doesn't remember what led to the crash.
After the crash, I seriously cannot remember that much.
But Cespedes is seeking answers.
When I went to pick it up, we noticed the pedal was missing over here. This is all scratched up over here. This wasn't like this.
And believes he was involved in a hit and run.
We all make mistakes. Accidents happen. But to think that, this could happen is horrible. But if you see somebody hurting or you do something on accident, just come forward.
She filed a report with Martin County Sheriff's Office. We reached out to them and a spokesperson says they will get back to us. Meanwhile, Noel is thankful to be recovering despite the scare.
I was thinking about maybe going on the bike again, just take little baby steps, go around the neighborhood.
And wearing a helmet next time he hits the road.
I mean, I'll probably still have the broken arm, but my face won't be so much damage.
Cespedes says she's gone back to the scene hoping Noel remembers details. Meanwhile, MCSO says they've responded to 62 bike crashes from June 2023 to June 2024. In Port St. Lucie, Zitlali, Solache, WPTV News.
At 86 feet.
We are at the highest point in South Florida.
Facing east.
When you're looking through the viewfinder, it's hard to even talk.
Benji Stute can see it all from Hope Mountain.
Ocean, Jupiter Island, Indian River Lagoon, coastal dunes.
Home to the very rare Florida scrub jay.
It's Florida's only endemic bird, meaning that it only occurs here, nowhere else in the world.
A threatened species quickly losing its habitat.
In my career, I have seen these birds get extirpated from 30 miles south of here. And now this is the southernmost population of these birds.
The conservation biologist,
let's go for a walk,
took us along the desert-like sandy patches.
We're coming up into the scrub. The plants are changing. The palmetto's thinning out.
Showing us the diverse ecosystem.
This is all lichen species. And this is one of these really cool organisms in the scrub.
And introducing us to the smell of old-growth pine.
Wow.
It's the wood from these tall trees providing protection to the endangered red-cockaded woodpecker.
Just by those species being here, that tells us that this land is incredibly productive. It is incredibly pristine.
Pristine land where the state of Florida recently proposed 3 new golf courses.
I just imagine all of these rolling hills suddenly with irrigation lines and pumps installed all throughout them in golf cart paths.
Disturbing what park rangers have worked decades to maintain. Reintroducing colonies into a thriving sanctuary.
We're stealing that from future generations. It hits me, it hurts me, And I think that's why the community is so riled up.
People like Dawn Donaldson.
I bring everyone that I love here to experience real Florida.
She lives right next to the park.
Because I enjoy the wildlife that comes into my yard from the park. We have foxes. We have all kinds of... I've had a bobcat drinking out of my bird feeder.
Standing at 86 feet.
I'm amazed. I am amazed at the beauty of this place.
On South Florida's highest hill.
Are you confident at this point that this will be saved?
The community gives me confidence.
The community is saying yes.
And we can't lose this.
It's a hill worth dying on. I'm Joe Fischer, WPTV News.
Well, it's not as active as it was yesterday, but as you can see, there is still crime scene tape up surrounding this area. Multiple Boca Raton police units on scene surrounding this hotel, just trying to piece together what exactly happened here yesterday.
And I was surprised that it's still roped off, so I'm not quite sure what's happening.
We caught up with neighbors out walking Saturday morning.
It still kind of shakes you a little bit.
I cannot believe it that is happening right here.
Police say it began with a dispute Friday evening, and then shots fired here in the parking lot of 365 Ocean in Boca Raton, a boutique extended stay hotel along A1A. They say a man and woman were killed, another man in the hospital. The suspect, police say, took off in a car and at last check is still on the run. It's a residential area, just yards away from the beach.
I had lived here in Boca over 20 years. We think that we live in a very safe place.
Monica Escaleras passes the hotel every single day on her morning run.
This is something to think about going in the future.
Police have not released the names of the victims nor a description of the suspect. We're working towards getting those answers for you. In Boca Raton, Briana, Nespral, WPTV News.
Undercover police cars fill the roadway here on Saracen Avenue. They're digging for evidence of child pornography. It's a concerning issue for parents. Thursday morning brought lots of police activity to this usually peaceful neighborhood in Port St. Lucie.
But I seen a plethora of them in the front yard.
The St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office conducted a search for child pornography at this home. Deputies were seen pulling out over 10 computer hard drives. We also saw a man from the home placed in handcuffs. I've called the sheriff's office asking for more information to see if any arrests were made and was told there are no updates as of now. Peter Scott has lived in the neighborhood for the last 8 years.
Relatively quiet neighborhood. We have kids playing basketball, but yeah, nothing out of the ordinary.
He was shocked to hear the news.
It does. Raise radars and, make me wonder what's going on around here this day and age.
My name's Cassandra Garcia. I knocked on more than a dozen doors on the same street. We're doing a story on this incident happening across the street. Many of them were parents. They told me this neighborhood is full of children. One woman even saying her kids pass by that home every day. They were all horrified to learn of the child porn investigation so close to home. But Scott says he's hopeful.
If something is like that is happening, I hope justice is served.
Cassandra Garcia, WPTV News.
We can continue our coverage tonight of the deadly and devastating tornadoes that ripped across our area, creating so much havoc and destruction. And tonight I join you from the new Monrovia Park community of Port Salerno in Martin County, where residents are staying unbelievably positive despite utter destruction. I'm actually standing in front of Diana Dotson's home, and you can actually see her car here is just a mangled mess. A tornado actually picked this up and threw it in the street. This trailer here was thrown into her bedroom, which you can see here is just completely gone. And you can also see crews have come together today to help her begin to clean up, towing the trailer away and picking up debris. Diana tells me just before the tornado Wednesday, she was feeling tired and went to take a nap in that very same bedroom, but says she just couldn't fall asleep. She came back out and 15 minutes later, she heard a deafening noise. She and her son fell to the floor. When it was all over, she realized the home she's lived in for 47 years was gone.
Brings tears to my eyes, but it's tears of joy because I'm here, I'm alive. Yes, I lost a lot, but I'm glad I wasn't in that bedroom to be trapped, because I know if I was going to sure enough die.
Yeah, one of those is going to be stuff.
But
like
I am
that.
so thankful.
I was
So
I brought
thankful
some rags over. I was going to try to layer it a little bit.
that he spared my life. I'm not perfect, but I must be something for him to spare. Thank you, thank you. When I talk about it, this is what happened, but it's tears of joy. Thank you, thank you.
Tears of joy because she's alive. A show of such resilience, such positivity, despite losing everything. And she's one of just so many that have now begun to rebuild. WPTV was there as person after person showed up at this Martin County distribution center to get water and tarps. Dozens of our own community members now searching for help in time of need. And as for Diana, she will live with family members until she figures out what to do next and where to go next.
On our walk through Manatee Creek.
So you were here?
Yes, sir.
When the tornado hit?
We met Mitchell Medanowski.
I was actually getting out of the shower. My brother opened the door, my mom, and they saw the tornado right outside our home.
His home took a direct hit.
We were right in this area, what used to be the closet, and the side structure fell right on top of us, and everything caved in. And there was only like a little gap leading outside of the structure that we all crawled out of. My uncle was trapped, and there was no way out, so
he's yelling or trying to let you know.
He said he's okay, but he's trapped, so the community literally came together as quick as I've ever seen and was helping me throw stuff out of the way, trying to clear a path to get him out.
Mitchell says his neighbors are family.
Are you okay?
By birth and by circumstance.
How you doing? I'm Steve. This is our new meteorologist, Chris Sowers.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Good. How are you? Nice to meet you too.
Each with their own harrowing story.
And I said, baby, we gotta, this is do or die. We gotta make it to Hope Sound. You're gonna be my tornado watcher, and I'm gonna be the driver.
All made it to safety.
When I cover hurricanes and tornadoes and telling people to get in their safe room, I try to imagine them in the safe room.
That's what I was gonna say. I can't imagine the horror for that, 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's an instant. Their lives are changed forever.
It's why we take the science so seriously.
Everything fascinates me about meteorology. What had to come together just to get that tornado to form?
I think we both come from a science background.
Yeah.
And this is when the reality really hits in. When we're locked in a studio when the tornadoes are hitting, but to come out here and see this damage puts it in a whole new perspective. Hey, buddy.
Hi, bud.
Skyla and Luke.
Hi, Luke.
Most pointed us back to Mitchell.
Pulling into this neighborhood and watching the guys down there where the U-Haul is crawling out of their house, that was something I will never forget.
Yeah, I bet.
It was horrific. I'm going to start crying. It's bad.
Yes, my aunt had to get rushed to the hospital because she's in her older age, and just getting her to sit on the ground was hard enough. So trying to pull her out from underneath this structure was the most traumatizing thing I've ever experienced in my life.
His family surviving the closest of calls.
What are you guys going to do now? Where are you guys at? What's the plan? My dad opened up his home for my family, and my dad's best friend opened up his home as well. So right now we're just trying to figure out the best way to go about this and get this home back up, because it's been in our family since before I was born.
You grew up in this house.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
yeah, a lot of memories.
Survivors of Milton, an unforgiving storm that left so many counting their blessings.
You feel lucky?
Beyond lucky, yes. I didn't think none of us were going to make it, honestly.
We walked home to home here on Beach Lane speaking to residents, many of whom are disabled, elderly, or have specific medical needs. For them, losing power for 6 weeks was a nightmare, and many say they still don't have it fully back on. Cleanup continues across Sebastian.
Best thing is to get rid of it.
But on Beach Lane, it's not debris.
Well, thankfully for that.
But a lack of power, that's the issue.
You got to do something. I don't know what else to do, you know.
Jennifer Tehan lost power last Wednesday, and 6 days later, she was still in the dark, with no air conditioning and an autistic son prone to seizures inside the nearly 90-degree home.
It was just so hot. My son might, have a seizure.
She reached out to us for help. Power came back on soon after, but she says it still keeps going out.
There are people with health issues. This is not just, an average person.
My internet's been going in and out, and I work from home, so it makes it hard.
Is FPL aware of this and working on the problem?
It's likely due to those aftermath and after effects of Hurricane Milton, and we're aware of it when it happens, and we're going to work to get their lights back on.
FPL's Conlon Kennedy says Milton knocked out power for tens of thousands.
As you can see some of the destruction of the poles in the truck right here.
The time to get power back on delayed by a historic need. Now 99% of Indian River folks are back online, and Conlon says those who aren't will soon.
We're not going to stop stop until every single customer gets their lights back on.
In Sebastian, Kate Hussey, WPTV News.
This warehouse off Orange Avenue was built just this year and is one of the largest in St. Lucie County. Now all around me is crumbled concrete and twisted metal. And there's even debris thrown out into the retention pond out front.
It not only flew it down, but look, it bent it.
This 1.1 million square foot warehouse is almost unrecognizable.
It's the same impact I think that a bomb would have, because a bomb's inside and it explodes out. So that's the only way you can really explain it.
St. Lucie County Commissioner Kathy Townsend is still shocked about the destruction from an EF3 tornado. Valued by the county at $61 million, the warehouse took 2 years to build.
You can look at this building and see how big it was, and I mean, it's just like, how is something so strong that it bends the rebar in the metal of that building? How does that happen?
But the destruction packs another punch. Townsend says this building would have been a possible distribution center, bringing with it 900 jobs.
And this was going to be big for the North County. It was going to be big for the people and residents. It was something that was finally going to be mid-county, that, you know, some of the residents from Fort Pierce and out west in North County could have been able to come in here and have a job.
Townsend says the developer, Stonmont Financial, has already agreed to rebuild. I reached out to Stonmont Financial. A spokesperson told me they are assessing the damage and repairs needed to the facility. Townsend is thankful it's just the building that's gone.
You can rebuild. You can't rebuild a life, but thank God you can rebuild a building.
Tyler Hatfield, WPTV News.
Elena McLaughlin,
disasterassistance.gov,
just started her FEMA application.
I'm going to be doing 2 claims because I'm going to do one for my dad and I'm going to do one for myself.
It's been nearly 2 weeks since a tornado hit Mariner Sands, leaving her home with roof damage and her father's house with severe structural issues.
These 2 rooms were the worst hit. Even with these accordion shutters up, these windows blew out. These blew out.
The cracks on the ceiling, holes in the roof, and entire columns uprooted.
We don't know structurally if we can save it.
A home turned inside out.
The branches came in through the windows. My dad usually sits right there at his computer. But yeah, the whole windows, the windows blew out, and things that are not even ours were thrown into this room.
As the debris piles up, so does the cost of putting the lives back together. Do you have any idea how much in damages some of this would cost?
A lot. I can't even begin to imagine. Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
She's hoping FEMA will be able to help where the insurance can't.
Hopefully we can get the house back to its original state if we're lucky.
Work that's barely begun.
It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time.
Cassandra Garcia, WPTV News.
On a quiet road in Vero Lake Estates, it's a small glimpse of a young girl's life.
She was just starting out.
And as her mother, Jericho Hughes, gathers the courage to share her daughter's story. She knows that story ended far too soon.
She was my firstborn. I was 18 when I had her. We pretty much grew up together. I was so excited to see all the things that she was going to do.
I do have the ambulance on the way, and I have law enforcement around as well.
She's breathing a little heavy. Please, hurry.
On April 12th, Florida Highway Patrol says 15-year-old Haley Hughes was walking to her bus stop on the corner of 79th and 102nd Avenue when a truck swerved into the Sebastian River high schooler, hitting her and tossing her body onto a grass shoulder. The teen was flown to St. Mary's Medical Center, but doctors determined her brain had gone too long without oxygen and declared her brain dead. After 10 days, her mom made the gut-wrenching decision to take Haley off life support.
That was the hardest thing, to have to witness my daughter stop breathing.
SHP says the person who hit Haley was one of her classmates, a high school senior on his way to school. We aren't identifying him because he's a minor. According to the traffic homicide investigation report, he not only hit Haley, but left the scene.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
I was just driving by. There's a young lady by a construction site. I think she was hit by a car.
That's the only call made to 911 related to the crash. The voice belongs to the teen driver's father.
She's not talking. She's breathing, though. Thank God.
FHP says the teen's cell phone records indicate he hit Haley sometime before 6:23 a.m. He stopped just past the crash. FHP investigators say the teen told them he thought he hit a mailbox. He then called his father and told investigators his father told him to come back home to look at the damage. Cell phone records indicate at 6:31 a.m. he then leaves for school again. According to the FHP investigative report, at 6:37 a.m., now about 14 minutes after FHP believes Haley was hit, the driver's father was on scene calling 911.
You don't see any vehicles around or any weapons or anything?
I know what happened. I know what happened. I just got a call from my son. He was on his way to school on 79th Street. He's like, Dad, I think I hit a mailbox. I don't understand. I wasn't even in the middle of the road.
Okay, so your son probably hit a vehicle or hit a person.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. That's well, you said you weren't 100% sure, so I wanted to make sure.
No, I'm 100% sure.
It's now 6:40 a.m., at least 17 minutes after Haley was likely hit.
Where's your son?
He came to my house, and then he showed me where, he told me about where the mailbox was, and I'm like, okay. And then he's like, it's a plastic one on the side of the road, a white one.
At the time of the accident, Haley's mom says she was wearing dark clothing. These jeans, Converse, and this gray and black top. FHP in their report did say it was dark at the time of the crash with no lighting.
I see cars coming now.
Okay. You see lights and sirens coming?
Yeah, and like I said, I'm looking at the tracks on the road and stuff like that. There's nothing that he swerved over the side. It's all...
All right.
A trauma helicopter lands on scene at 7:12 a.m. It's now nearly an hour after FHP believes Haley was hit. Medical records show at this point paramedics put Haley on oxygen. But it takes nearly another hour to get her to the hospital and seen by a trauma team.
The damage was too far.
According to Haley's hospital paperwork summary, she had no broken bones and no damage to any vital organs except her brain, which was bleeding. A CT scan shows that bleed turned into an anoxic brain injury, meaning her brain wasn't getting oxygen. We wanted to know if the length of time it took to get Haley to the hospital played a factor in her death.
Her not getting oxygen for that amount of time.
So we sent her records to another neurologist to review. Brent Maysell is the National Medical Director for the Brain Injury Association of America.
Would getting her treatment earlier potentially have made a difference in her chance of survival?
Yes, the delay undoubtedly made things a whole lot worse. Time is brain.
FHP says the teen driver told investigators he was looking for something in his bag when the crash happened. And investigators in their crash report concluded the teen operated the motor vehicle in a careless or negligent manner and fled the scene. But the state's attorney responded to the report, writing prosecutors don't plan to file criminal charges because the, quote, facts of the case don't establish the defendant was aware of the victim's injuries when the defendant left the scene of the accident. But did add if more evidence is uncovered, they take another look at the case. For Jericho, it all feels so unfair. She's waited too many months for justice, and Haley too many minutes for help. A daughter's story cut short, her grieving mother's still unwritten.
How can you grieve with an open ending? She's still in the ICU in my mind. When I wake up in the morning, I have a panic thinking I need to rush back to the hospital. And then I have to remind myself.
Lieutenant David Roscoe has been a motor deputy with the Martin County Sheriff's Office. It's a very fine-tuned skill for 10 years. The prestige of being able to ride a Harley Davidson and get paid to do it for work is, to me, is you just can't compare that to anything else in life. He also knows the dangers of his job. If you get hit in a car, you have walls all around you, airbags. On a motorcycle, we don't have airbags. We don't have any of that to protect us if we are hit. I spent the day on the road with Lieutenant Roscoe. I asked him about Thursday's tragedy in Palm Beach County involving 3 deputies.
I don't think any of those officers or those deputies planned on that was the way the day was going to go, and it really makes you think about what's going on in your life, and it's tough sometimes. It is tough.
He tells me the biggest danger he faces on his motorcycle.
It's very common for a person to actually make eye contact with me going down the road and still make a lane change and come into my lane.
While yesterday's tragedy sticks with him,
it's in the back of your mind. It is. I am writing you a ticket, though. It's for the 62 and a 40.
It's his duty to serve that keeps him on the road.
The events of yesterday aren't going to stop me from continuing to do what I do to try to make, what I can a better place, one traffic stop at a time.
Tyler Hatfield, WPTV News.
This is the home of a couple that lives in Spanish Lakes. They're desperate for answers. They weren't home when FEMA came to do the initial inspection, and they've been waiting for FEMA to return ever since. Until they do, they can't get the help they need to move forward.
You're on the queue, you're on the queue, you're on the queue, you're on the queue.
That's what Kathy Kish has been told time and time again by FEMA.
I've been to the centers 3 times, and I've called them every single day since October the 17th.
Kish and her husband, Barry Lamb, have been displaced since a tornado destroyed their home.
There it is. We got a tornado.
Cell phone video shows the moment Barry was swept off his feet.
Storm kept coming toward me, and then it opened up and threw me from here into here and threw me up against the wall here.
Now they spend their days at this hotel in Port St. Lucie.
Welcome to our new home.
It's where they've spent the last 2 weeks.
My stove, my dishwasher, my wash machine and dryer don't have access to it.
They've waited almost 2 months for FEMA to inspect the damages.
FEMA's done everybody here except for us now. Without FEMA to come in here and give us money, we can't move into a new house.
They say they missed the initial inspection because they were staying with family in Pensacola. Despite multiple attempts to get FEMA to return, they're still waiting.
This was not chosen. We didn't choose this. The tornado did.
I did reach out to FEMA. A spokesperson told me they couldn't discuss this specific case, but they will work to connect them with resources. And as they head into the holiday season,
and I see everybody else and how happy they are. I had that once. I don't have it now. I don't have no home.
A couple desperate for progress, hoping they can get into a new home soon. Cassandra Garcia, WPTV News.